I am Tom Brannon. Thank you for joining us on TH Weather Plus. Might as well call it Weather Plus. We've had a lot of weather these past few days. It should be plus weather. You're on THV 11 Plus, and we will be talking a lot about weather and the weather that is to come beginning Tuesday and lasting through early Wednesday morning. I feel like we just did this.
We did back in January, but this is a whole different type of storm
system. Did this Saturday with a different
severe weather.
It was severe weather.
80 degrees in Monticello, and we're just coming back with vengeance.
Yeah, and I guess the latest update is within the last hour or so, the National Weather Service has highlighted a portion of central Arkansas with a winter storm warning. Now, there's different criteria that is used when it comes to snow and sleet for central Arkansas compared to northwest Arkansas. They have different differences there as well. So we're expecting sleet here. And that I call it ice, although freezing rain, technically ice. It becomes ice on the roadways, messes up our drive into work and to school. But that's primarily what we're expecting here beginning Tuesday afternoon and lasting through Tuesday night.
Yeah, this is going to be a sleet event for a large part of central Arkansas. Maybe a little bit of freezing rain mixed in, but by far the snow, mostly snow, stays in North Arkansas just because we look at the temperature profile from the surface all the way to the clouds. So yes, we have the Arctic air seeping its way in right at the surface, but it's almost about like 5, 6, 7,000 feet in elevation. You run into just enough warm air. It's just above freezing. So the snowflakes, they melt, they freeze as they make their way as raindrops trying to push down to the ground, and you have those sleet pellets.
And if the column of air is thick enough and cold enough, sleet pellets, but if it's not, it maintains the little raindrop and becomes freezing rain.
Yeah, sleet's better than freezing rain.
I'll take it any day. Yeah, for a number of reasons. Number one, sleet bounces.
Yes.
Off of your power lines and your cars, but freezing rain does not do that. It likes to adhere. So we'll walk you through. We'll also get to that graphic in just a moment and explain how all that works, because we still have people that want to know the difference between sleet and freezing rain. It's just not going to be cold enough in the beginning stages of this for us to get all snow like it is in northern Arkansas and in northern Arkansas. Some of our northern Arkansas counties here are expecting quite a bit of snow out of this system.
Yeah, and that includes Benton, Washington, Carroll, Boone, Madison, Newton, Searcy, Marion, Baxter, Randolph, Izard, Sharp, Clay, Greene. All the northern 2 rows of counties will see some significant snow from this event, and right along the border of Arkansas and Missouri, Tom, I think some locations could come up with 10 to maybe as much as 12 inches of snow. Yeah. Because of the Arctic air, there's not so much moisture here, but with that Arctic air, we're talking snow ratios. 1 inch of rain equals 10 inches of snow on a typical basis when the temperature is around 31, 32 degrees. But temperatures in this part of the state tomorrow will be well into the 20s. So you're looking at 1 inch of liquid equals more 15, maybe 20 inches of snow. It'll be that fluffy, dry, powdery snow. So you won't be able to make snowballs or snowmen with it. It'll be very easy to clean off.
Either way, I tell you, it's going to be an inconvenience. This is our second projected major winter storm that we've had. And I know a lot of people are ready to, me included, ready to transition out of this and get into spring. But unfortunately, once this gets out of the way, we've got cold Arctic air that's going to come and stay for a while. And that's going to cause this melt off during the day, refreeze at night, and that's going to happen for a few days leading up into the end of the week. So let's get to it. Let's talk about the weather impact alert day for Tuesday and Tuesday night. Again, this is really what you can expect. Sleet here, maybe some freezing rain in the onset. Northern Arkansas, pretty much snow. It may be some sleet mixed in. Hazardous travel is definitely going to be a problem here in central Arkansas, northern Arkansas. And then dangerous cold is coming in on the heels of this system. Now let's talk about the breakdown of what we can expect here in Arkansas.
Like we said, Arctic air will be locked in place in North Arkansas, the Ozarks, not only at the surface, but all the way up to the cloud level. And that's why it's primarily a snow event or mostly a snow. It may mix with a little bit of sleet once you get closer to the river valley and outside of the mountains. So Clinton may see a little bit of sleet mixed in, but by far, this is where you're going to see more impressive snow totals. Then as you get closer to central Arkansas, Little Rock, Conway, Hot Springs, into Benton and Bryant, we're going to have, I think, quite a bit of sleet. There could be a little bit of freezing rain mixed in, especially into the Ouachitas. Looking at the latest data, that's where the bullseye is for the potential of maybe a quarter-inch of ice in some locations in the Ouachitas. But it's going to be the combination of sleet, a little bit of freezing rain, and then before it ends, I think it will change over to snow here in central Arkansas. So we'll have a trace to 1, maybe as much as 2 inches of snow on top of that bed of sleet, and then farther down to the south and southeast. So it'll take more time for that Arctic air to reach that part of the state, and it may stay mainly a rain event if you're watching us in Monticello, Drew County, Deshay County, Chico, Ashley County, Bradley County. Before it ends, it could change over to a little bit of freezing rain, but I don't think the impacts will be near as great as what we're expecting for the rest of Arkansas.
Model trends have, looking at model after model after model of what's coming in, it seems like the snow gets pushed a little farther south in some regards, at least a lot more of the accumulating snow. Expecting sleet, I think in the onset I was, okay, this is going to be more freezing rain with a few sleet pellets mixed in. Now it looks like it's primarily more sleet than freezing rain. Not really thinking we're going to get much snow out of this until the backside of this system swings on through, but things could happen.
Yeah.
Things could change.
There's always a chance to bust here or there, especially when you're talking about the type of precipitation, because it's just 1 degree that makes a difference in whether we get sleet or freezing rain, or maybe it stays all snow. Maybe we'll see more snow in parts of the region that we weren't expecting.
Yeah. Either way, it's just going to mess up the roads.
It's not going to be a perfect forecast, but at least we get
yeah.
a 90%. That would make me very happy in our forecast.
All right, types of winter precipitation. You talked about this warm nose of air that's going to come in. All winter precipitation starts initially as snow, and if it maintains below 32 degrees to the ground, it's going to be snow. And then you get into the freezing rain and sleet. A little warm air here, but you get a larger column of colder air, sub-freezing air toward the surface, and it has time to refreeze into that little sleet pellet. Now, once it's a raindrop, it's not going to become a snowflake anymore. It's going to be one of those two varieties.
Yeah, and that's the situation we're looking at. It's going to be snow well up into the cloud, and then once it hits this very narrow layer of warm air, that snowflake will melt, become a raindrop, and then that raindrop freezes as it approaches the way towards the ground. And it looks like, for the most part, we do have a fairly deep layer of temperatures 32 or below just past that warm layer. Ouachitas, maybe a different story. The layer of sub-freezing air is going to be a little bit more narrow, and that's why the raindrop will stay intact until it reaches the surface, hits the surface, it's sub-freezing, that raindrop freezes on contact, and that's when you have ice on the power lines, ice on branches, everything turns into an ice skating rink, including your front and back door steps or the deck, and you have to watch out for that first step.
And then I was kind of hoping for just all rain out of this. I can always hope and wish.
Yeah,
wish
doesn't look like that's going to be happening unless something
to
drastic really changes.
So that we're going to have it all in Arkansas. You're going to have places get rain, some will get sleet, freezing rain, and snow. So it's
a potpourri of precipitation. That's what I like to call it.
And you want to spell that? Okay, now let's break down the difference between sleet and freezing rain. And I've seen comparisons, the donut comparison.
Oh, yeah, that's always a popular one.
The glazed donut, and then you got the sprinkles on top of it. But this is really what it is. Sleet is an ice pellet, and the difference between the two is it's going to bounce around, and that helps with trees and power lines. But if you get that glaze of freezing rain and then you get some sleet on top of that, that's going to add some weight to the power lines. I'm hoping for sleet. Don't want the freezing rain for a number of reasons, but that's generally the difference. Freezing rain is nothing more than a raindrop hits the surface. It's sub-freezing and it freezes.
So as an observer, you watch the temperature, because it could be 26 degrees and it's raining. And you're thinking, oh, this is just rain. And then you realize, no, it's freezing rain. Once you hit a bridge or overpass, you run into the potential of things icing over pretty quick. So watch the temperature closely as we go into tomorrow, because again, if it's raining and the temperature is 32 or below, that's not rain, that's freezing rain, and that's going to cause havoc on area roadways.
Yeah, and I know that RDOT's on top of things. They've already started the pre-treating process to make sure the big highways and the interstates are fine. But our biggest concern is getting out of our driveways, getting out of our neighborhood streets. And we always say, if you don't have to get out, it's best to stay at home. We'll know more about school closings tomorrow. I think some schools have already called it for the middle part of the day or even early in the day. I think a lot of it's just going to depend on when this precipitation gets here, what type it is, and how fast it falls. Sleet can pile up on the ground in a pretty quick amount of time.
Yeah. And what we didn't mention is on the onset, there could be a burst of sleet that's quite heavy and maybe even thunder sleet happening across parts of the region. If you have thunder sleet, that can add up very quickly. So I do think some locations could get 1, 2, maybe 3 inches of sleet from this event.
And the National Weather Service, I think their criteria, if I'm not mistaken, it's a half an inch of sleet or an inch of sleet to equal that winter storm criteria for us.
Yeah.
I think that's the way it is. Let's start with snowfall. Again, big amounts could occur in northern Arkansas, along the Arkansas-Missouri border. That's the bullseye spot, 6 to 10 inches. They were kind of ripped off in the last event back in January, so they're going to get all the snow this time.
Yeah, just because the Arctic air is locked in place, you're going to have those high snow ratios. And then also with the transition zone from the snow to sleet, that is a little miniature warm front for the most part in the upper parts of the atmosphere. That can create more lift and enhance bands of snow in that part of the state. So yeah, 6 to 10. Some locations could end up with 11 or 12 right along those border counties of Arkansas and Missouri, but there is a huge difference traveling from Mountain Home to Little Rock. If you take that drive, you might notice Little Rock may not get much of anything in terms of snow. There's a possibility it could stay all sleet and we just get a little dusting of snow. So big transition zone from central Arkansas versus the Ozarks, the Boston Mountains, and especially right along the border of Arkansas and Missouri, and then down to the south because mostly it's going to be rain. El Dorado, Camden, Monticello, southeast Arkansas, that could mix over to a little bit of freezing rain before the precipitation moves out and it's all said and done.
Yeah, notice that big change. You've got it traced to 2 inches in the blue area here. That does cut through Faulkner County, Conway, White County, northern parts of Lonoke County. But after that, it just really increases the amounts toward those northern couple of Rosa counties. And it could shift a little bit farther to the south. These forecasts are never, ever, okay, cut and dry, this is it.
Yeah.
They always change, and they usually change up to the day of the
And a
precipitation
huge
event.
difference between Little Rock and Searcy. As you drive up 67, 167, it's going to be maybe not too much in downtown Little Rock, and Searcy could see 3 or 4 inches of snow because they'll see most likely less in the form of sleet.
All right, let's talk about the sleet forecast, something that's of concern for about that central third of the state. 1 to 3 inches of sleet, thunder sleet, can come down pretty heavy at times.
Yeah, looking at all the information, I'm seeing it's going to be a sleet situation, not so much a freezing rain until you get into the Ouachita's, into Montgomery County, Yell County, potentially into Garland County, but there's going to be a solid area of, I think, at least 1 to 2 inches of sleet. But some locations, you get a burst of some heavier bands of sleet. 3 inches will be a possibility. And then on the outskirts, just because the transition zone from the sleet to the snow, where that sets up, traced to 1 inch going through Pope County, Conway County, also into northern Faulkner County, White County, and then down to the south. Just depends on how fast that transition happens.
What is the most sleet that you've ever seen fall with a winter storm?
I think what happened back in 2021, the first system, it was like, there was one system, we stayed at the hotel downtown.
Yeah.
We were expecting freezing rain, and it was all sleet. And it was a lot of sleet.
Yeah.
And it was thunder sleet at night, because I remember waking up, I'm like, is that lightning and thunder? But yeah, that was a lot of sleet. I've never seen that much sleet before, and it was inches of sleet.
Yeah, that's the problem heading into tomorrow. And of course, the thing nobody wants, the freezing rain or the ice forecast. When you talk about the Ouachita's again, there's that 1/10 to 1/4 of an inch of freezing rain, maybe a glaze to 0.05 of an inch here in the central part of the state.
And the key here is any bit of ice, whether it's a glaze or not, with the temperatures well below freezing, that's going to cause problems on the bridges and overpasses and any untreated road surfaces whatsoever. Any untreated surfaces, steps, decks, you just got to be careful walking out. Now, in terms of power outages and stuff like that, we have to get at least 1/4 inch of ice, because once you reach that threshold, then the potential that you could see some power outages starts to go up. What we haven't mentioned is it's going to be windy out there. There's going to be a stiff wind coming in from the east northeast as high as 20 to maybe 30 miles per hour. So a quarter inch of ice, you're going to run into some power outages if that does happen. Also, with this dry, powdery snow, there's going to be some drifts. And there'll probably be some drifts in North Arkansas, maybe, I would say, 2-3 feet high in some locations.
Really? Okay.
You get a foot of snow, you're going to have a drift probably that high.
Yeah. So all of it is just going to create this mess on the roadways, and I'm sure that we'll hear from the schools and they'll decide to call it quits. Some of them are kicking around the thought tomorrow, but certainly Wednesday morning will be the telltale sign. How much did we have and what do the roads look like? And oh, by the way, speaking of freezing rain and ice, there is not a bag of ice melt to be had in Central Arkansas. I have tried and tried and tried to find some, and it's at a premium right now. So you could use kosher salt if you have enough at home to kind of melt things away. All right, let's talk about the road impacts again. This is going to be a very impactful winter storm. You're going to have snow. You're going to have to deal with ice on the roadways. So this is what you can expect tomorrow and Wednesday.
Yeah, pretty much all the states going to see high impacts when we talk about the road conditions. I think the road conditions will really start to go downhill quickly. West Arkansas tomorrow afternoon. Central Arkansas, certainly by the evening hours with steady sleet falling, the roads will become treacherous. The only area that may be spared would be Southeast Arkansas from really much road impacts. Monticello, Greenville, Crossett, El Dorado, just because it's mainly rain and then changing over to a little bit of freezing rain. But even with a little bit of freezing rain, still have to watch out, use some caution. We're going to have road impacts in place, I think, for side streets and areas that are in the shade, probably until at least Friday afternoon, could continue into Saturday, just because it's Arctic air, temperatures well below freezing. We're not going to see the sleet, the snow, the ice melt very quickly. It faded away pretty quickly in January because temperatures more above freezing.
Right.
We didn't have Arctic air in place. Different story with this system.
Yeah, so we're going to have to depend on the sun to do a lot of that melting, but you get into the refreezing aspect when you drop below 32 degrees, the sun goes down, skies are clear, it's going to refreeze very, very quickly. And speaking of those road impacts, at what temperature does it take for things to really slick up outside? And you know, your first things to go are your bridges and overpasses where you can get a lot of cold air that can travel around those exposed elevated surfaces. But you know, you look at 29 degrees or below, that's when you really start to see things go downhill.
And we're going to see those temperatures stay into the mid-20s potentially all day Wednesday. Thursday, temperatures probably staying into the mid-20s. The sun will help out somewhat because we have a higher sun angle versus in January. So there will be some improvement, especially on the interstates and the main highways. But like I said, it's those side streets that will not be changing much at all.
And to me, those are the most important streets. And I get it. I understand we got to clear the highways and the interstates off. But if you can't get to the highways to get to work, that therein lies a problem as well. So hopefully the crews, city crews can get out, county crews can get out and spread a little sand or salt mixture, something on the roads. I know that from my experience, I've got a very shady area going down our main street, and when you get up to the light, you wonder if you're going to stop because there's a solid sheet there.
Yeah, I've done that before, just going right through a stop sign, and it's unsettling.
All right, so the future radar, this is our in-house model. We call it the graph. This is tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock. Keep an eye on the blue is the snow, the mix is the pink, and the green is the rain. This is by the time we reach noon, some precipitation in northern Arkansas. Temperatures in the mid-20s. We'll be around 32 tomorrow. And then we'll begin to see the precipitation really pick up north. This is by 2 o'clock in the afternoon if schools do try.
There's darker blue showing up, so there's going to be some banding of heavier snow.
Heavy snows, heading through the afternoon and evening hours, we still have the magenta color here.
And the temperature, look at that, 26 versus 33. So that Arctic air is definitely right over central Arkansas, and then teens in Harrison, Mount Holm, blowing snow. It's definitely going to be some nasty conditions into North Arkansas.
As we head through the evening hours, we'll begin to see that colder air advect into all levels of the atmosphere. That means we'll pick up a little bit of that as well as our temperature drops to 20. So anything that falls at this point is certainly not going anywhere. It's going to cover up the roads. This is by midnight. Well, we should see the back end of this move through about 5:30, 6 o'clock, and then the cold air really settles in. Wind chill values and temperatures, single digits, maybe even below zero in some cases in northern Arkansas.
It's a fast-moving system, Tom, but it still is a high-impact system. Yeah. Even though it doesn't stick around very long, we're expecting it to move here in central Arkansas by tomorrow afternoon, and then it's out of here before sunrise on Wednesday.
Yeah, but and to replace, you've got to worry about the 3 Ps once again. This is one of those pipe bursting conditions, so you'll have to stream your faucets. Make sure the pets are inside and keep an eye on folks that may need some extra warmth. Before we transition to temperatures, let's talk about what the models are saying, the raw data coming through, and they each have a little bit of something different in terms of overall snowfall totals.
But there's definitely a trend showing the highest snowfall totals in northwest Arkansas and North Arkansas, and then those snow totals really drop the closer that you are to central Arkansas. I think the European a little too much here.
Yeah, a little aggressive there. But
I'm not sure exactly what it's thinking, but there's a GFS also showing the highest totals, 6, 8, 10 inches into North Arkansas, and then lesser amounts once you get into central Arkansas. It's just going to be how fast does it change over to snow in Pulaski County, Faulkner County, Perry County versus the sleet. And we just don't know that right now, so that's why we're leaning more towards the sleet solution and lower with the snow totals. But if it changes over to snow quicker than expected, then we'll have more snow here in central Arkansas.
This is the graph, the model that we showed you just a moment ago, again pinpointing what Nathan was saying, that the highest snow totals over the northern rows of counties. And this is reflecting, some light accumulation up to maybe an inch. And our other in-house model, the HER, which, again, the consistent nature there of we're putting all the snow here, at least most of it.
Yeah.
We might get a little bit down.
Very impressive totals. Wonder if that's going to verify. This is saying over a foot in places like Carroll County, Boone County, stretching into Marion, maybe even Baxter County. So that'll be very interesting to see what unfolds in that part of the state.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, Again, North Arkansas received snow from the last system. Most of it was supposed to have occurred in southern and central Arkansas. Warm nose of or warmer air moved in and cut off that for southern Arkansas. They still got a decent snow. They can have it. I'm at that point of February where I'm ready for the transition. So North Arkansas and our friend Scott Covert in Northwest Arkansas, you can have it, Scott. I know how much you love snow.
And the other thing we have to think about is when you're dealing with the mountains, if it's a north wind, the mountain range is running from west to east. So as that wind hits those mountains, it creates orographic lifting, and therefore the northern side of the mountains could see a little more snow versus the south-facing sides.
Yeah, good point. This is the timeline tomorrow. The questions we're getting about what time does it all start and what time will it end? This is probably the most common question, that and how much are we going to get? So from 9 to noon in western Arkansas with that line, and this will be updated, I'm sure. Noon to 6, central eastern Arkansas, after 6 o'clock, if any at all occurs over southern Arkansas. Subject to change. This is going to be a very fluid situation. But look for it tomorrow, 9 to noon, beginning in the western part of the state.
So if you are planning to work tomorrow, when should you be home if you are here in the Little Rock Metro?
I just wouldn't go.
What if you have to go? If you could do a half a day?
Oh, gosh, yeah.
My wife might be watching. I told her, I was like, I think you should be home no later than 3 o'clock. Because as soon as it starts to fall, it will start to accumulate. And then people, they just lose their minds for the most part. Because everybody wants to rush and get out in the interstates and
you get gridlock.
Yeah, you get gridlock.
Been through those situations.
A little bit of
before.
sleet, a little bit of freezing rain can change things very quickly, especially on the Big Rock interchange, those bridges and overpasses. Once again, those are the first things to go in terms of road conditions.
I'm under the let's just not do it. That's just my thing, but I know that you've got your police, your fire, you've got those folks that are essential that have to get out and have to do it. So just be careful. Let's hope you got the right kind of tire on your vehicle, although it doesn't matter with freezing rain and sleet, a nice glaze of ice is kind of an equalizer there. But in snow, you get a little bit more in the way of subtraction. All right, the bottom line. This is the way things shape up for you as we head into tomorrow, Tuesday 1 to 4. Sleet developing. Roads will start to get slick. Our temperature near the freezing point. And if you want to take it full, you can, Perry, so that, there you go, folks at home can see it. Then by Tuesday evening, sleet and snow north with has described terrible roads, horrible road conditions. Overnight, sleet will begin to transition to snow before it ends. And notice our temperatures continue to drop off. 6 a.m. Wednesday as you get up, prepare for your day. There won't be many schools in session or folks heading into work, but windy, bitterly cold temperatures settling in with snow flurry before things clear out Wednesday afternoon.
Wednesday morning, it's going to be that piercing cold type situation. You do not want to go outside without a heavy coat, hats, gloves, scarves, all that, because we're talking about the potential of dangerous cold, especially into northwest Arkansas, where we had this extreme cold warning. Now, in the past, that was known as a wind chill warning, and that's just because the feels like number is going to be well below zero in this part of the state. They could see wind chills maybe 15 to 20 below zero. That can cause some frostbite issues.
Yeah, and we'll have that map in a moment, but here's something else to keep in mind. Here in central Arkansas, we could spend several hours, many hours, at or below freezing, below 32 degrees. We did this back in January. Do you remember how many hours it was? Was it 78 hours we were below freezing? I think it was close to
something
that.
like that, yeah.
We could be 70 to 95 this time around, and this is where we have the reminder of make sure you check on your pets and stream your faucets. Dripping your faucets is probably not going to work. And from the plumbers that I've talked to, they're like, nope, you got to stream, and it would be helpful to stream both hot and cold. A little pencil lead in terms of thickness or thinness of the stream. Keep all of your faucets streaming in your home to get through the very cold temperatures. I mean, that's the advice from a plumber. I had a burst pipe. I thought I had it all covered. I had one pipe in my attic that went poof, and he said, you know, you're dripping your faucets. You probably could have streamed, and this wouldn't have happened.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, so it's stream those faucets, not drip.
It's not drip, it's stream. You don't have to have a big stream. You just got to keep the water flowing. That's what we're trying to do here. Back to the wind chill forecast. Probably had that page in the wrong spot because this goes in line with what we were talking about with the cold air alerts.
Yeah, there you go. Tuesday morning, tomorrow morning, it will be cold, but this is nothing compared to what is coming. Look
Boom.
at that. Wednesday morning, wind chill feels like forecast 10 below zero in Fayetteville. Single digits, maybe below zero, as close as Searcy, certainly Clinton feeling like below zero. 8 will be the feels like temperature in Arkadelphia, 6 above zero in Monticello. So no matter where you are in Arkansas, it is going to be brutally cold out there over the next several mornings. And
then it gets colder.
That's just disgusting right there. That's more like North Dakota type winter or Minnesota, you know, all the way up to International Falls. They're used to this. We're not used to this here in Arkansas.
And a lot of this is due to the fact we've got snow on the ground. And all of the heat we have is reflected back into space, and you throw in that wind, and this is what you get.
Yeah. That's just leaves you speechless, but serious cold.
Yeah. Friday morning, a little bit better. Single digits and even some low teens for your wind chill forecast, and I think that's all we have. THV 11 weather impact alert day for Tuesday, extended into Wednesday. Probably going to take it all the way through Friday because of those numbers at night. They're going to be very cold, but there's some good news out of this. Once we get the precipitation out of the way, I see a lot more of that orange thing in the sky going forward, heading into the weekend than we've had in a very long time.
Yeah. It has been cloudy, very unsettled over the past several days, so it'll be good to see Mr. Sunshine, and Mr. Sunshine will do its job. And with that blacktop, it will absorb the heat from the sun, and it will start to melt things. You'll see probably significant melting later Friday afternoon, but certainly Saturday, temperatures will be well above freezing, so that's some good news. Also,
yeah.
Tom, I walked out to my garden this morning, and I saw daylilies coming up.
Oh, no.
So daylilies are, you know, more typical for late spring, early summer. I think if you have something like that, you need to cover them up because they will certainly feel the cold and they may be hurt quite a bit and be delayed this season if you don't cover those type of plants up. Your tulips, your daffodils, they're fine. They're spring bulbs, they're hardy,
They'll be
they don't
all
have
right.
any issues, but something like a daylily, and maybe even my columbines are starting to come up as well. I'll probably have to cover them up.
I went ahead and put an extra layer of mulch on top of my roses. Roses are starting to bud out. I even have a few that are leafing out. So
We
if
had
you have
that
any-
fall spring.
I know it. That messes things up. I don't want frozen roses. So there's some helpful advice from Nathan Scott. Okay, so we've got the winter storm warning in effect for Tuesday night, and THV 11 weather impact alert day. We'll have more on this developing winter storm tonight at 5, 6, 6:30, and 10 o'clock.
Yes, we will. Sounds good.
We'll see you.